How Jean-Pierre's defense of Biden's memory ended on Black and Queer. The political bombshell. The Hur report, which investigated President Biden's retention of classified documents, ultimately concluded that criminal charges were not warranted. However, the report contained a devastating political assessment, characterizing the president as a well-meaning, elderly man with a poor memory who would be difficult to convict. This language instantly became the centerpiece of Republican attacks on the president's age and cognitive fitness. Jean-Pierre's deflection strategy. When pressed by the MSNBC host on how the White House planned to counter this narrative, Jean-Pierre was perceived by many analysts as employing a rigid, defensive strategy focused on exoneration. She consistently reiterated the White House's core message that the president was fully exonerated, no charges were filed, and the case was closed. Dismissal of Hur's language. She, along with other White House spokespersons, labeled the special counsel's descriptions of the president's memory as gratuitous, inaccurate, and inappropriate political commentary that exceeded the bounds of a legal report. The evasion critique. The critique leveled by reporters and commentators was that she failed to offer a direct, empathetic, or credible rebuttal to the core concern, the president's fitness, instead relying on repeated talking points and avoiding the human element of the political crisis. Her perceived stiffness did little to quell the rising public anxiety over the president's age. Part 2. The identity defense. The Black and Queer pivot. The interview reportedly took a sharp and controversial turn when the discussion shifted from policy and political crisis to the topic of Jean-Pierre's credentials and her tumultuous tenure as press secretary. The context of scrutiny. Jean-Pierre's time at the lectern was marked by frequent media criticism regarding her transparency, preparedness, and ability to deviate from prepared notes. Critiques that, while often political, sometimes included racially charged subtext from right-wing media figures who labeled her a DEI hire: diversity, equity, and inclusion. The controversial defense. In defending her performance, Jean-Pierre reportedly leaned heavily into the historic nature of her role. She stated that her presence as the first Black and openly queer woman in the position was itself an accomplishment and a crucial step for the nation. The criticism. This line of defense drew intense fire from critics across the political spectrum. They argued that she was deploying her identity as a shield to deflect legitimate professional criticism. By connecting her performance to her status as a historic first, opponents claimed she was attempting to brand any scrutiny of her job effectiveness as an attack on her race or sexual orientation. The perception of failure. For many, this pivot solidified the perception that she was unable to effectively handle high-pressure policy questions. The dramatic shift from defending the president's mental acuity to defending her own identity was widely viewed as a profound communications misstep, further diminishing her credibility and confirming, for her critics, that her focus was on personal status rather than the substantive duties of the office. Long-term implications. The fallout from this interview reinforced a broader narrative of tension between the White House and the press, and specifically highlighted the challenges faced by historical firsts in high-visibility roles. Her comments sparked a public debate over the line between valid professional critique and politically motivated attacks based on identity.